avoir.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of FitPet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lagotto, and I am the host of the show. Today, I am joined by my spouse, Lori.
Hello.
And our client, Katie.
Hi.
We're so excited to have you here. I know that this didn't work out last week, so thanks for rescheduling for us.
Super excited to be
Yeah,
here.
Lori was a little under the weather last week, so.
I had a cough without the joy of smoking.
Yeah.
I love smoking. I know it's bad for you people. I gave it up. But I miss it.
So we rescheduled, and I'm super excited to be able to talk to Katie. Historically, this podcast has interviewed local Boston area dog handling professionals, and we've chatted about our lives, dogs, and careers. And in the past year, we have been featuring our clients on the podcast, which is kind of like a new angle for us to take. So if you're new, welcome. Lori and I frequently do episodes where we just kind of banter back and forth and talk about any array of dog handling and training topics. And we have done a couple of client interviews, which have been super awesome. It's great to get that point of view, just to hear from you what your experience has been like with your dog, and also what your experience has been like working with us as trainers. So yeah, Katie, like,
You can tell the truth.
you can tell the truth. And the reason why I wanted to ask you to be on is, first of all, because you listen to the podcast, so you
I
know
do.
kind of like
Love
what we're all about. But also because you have had a challenging road with your dog.
I have.
Yeah.
Indeed. The fact that we still own her is probably
Amazing.
a miracle. And amazing.
You're a real trooper.
Thanks. I try. I try.
Yeah. So let's see. Where do we want to start here?
Name.
Well, name and like where you're from, and if you grew up with dogs, what your experience was like with owning dogs or being exposed to dogs before you got Winnie.
Well, her name is Winnie.
Mm-hmm.
And
Current dog's name's Winnie.
Yes, my current dog's name is Winnie, my puppy. And she's she's probably about 15 months now ish. And growing up, I had she's a Lagotto Romagnolo. And it's hard to say.
A prize.
Such a treat.
Lagotto
Lagotto
Romagnolo.
Romagnolo. And she is a real treat. Growing up, I did have dogs. I had two Wheatons, female Wheatons, and Cassie and Bailey. I don't know why I just blanked on that one. And they were great. And I wanted another dog bad after Bailey passed, but we were in the midst of having multiple children. So I have three kids. And I then was we're going to wait until they're a little bit older. You know, the theory is they can help us, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, right. And so we waited until, they were, how old were they? 10, 8, and 7. And
2 boys and a girl.
2 boys and a girl. And my middle son is an absolute wild card. But ironically, he's the best one with Winnie. But anyway, so we waited till they were a little bit older in theory that they could help us. My husband, for the record, does not like animals in any capacity. Never had pets growing up. Had no interest in having pets. I came with a pet, and so he tolerated Bailey. But when she passed away, he was devastated. However, he was like, no, I never want a dog. I want no part of this, blah, blah, blah. And I essentially went behind his back and got her anyway.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of that going around with our customers.
So you can imagine how thrilled he was and how much help he's been, but he's coming around. Anyway, so Winnie.
Very, very nice guy.
Very nice guy.
Yep.
Just doesn't want a dog. Never wanted one. And he makes that abundantly clear a couple times a week. So
He also made it abundantly clear to me as well.
Exactly. When he randomly shows his face, he's like, FYI, Lori, you recall, I did not want this dog.
I've seen him twice, and when he's
twice.
over a year old.
Yeah, exactly.
And I see you weekly.
multiple times
Times a
Yeah.
week, yes.
Multiple.
Yeah, I know everything about the children,
Everything.
social security numbers.
Yep.
And then
Literally
I see
everything.
Ricardo.
And then Rick comes every once in a while and it's like, what am I doing again? Who is this dog? Anyway, so we got Winnie and everyone was thrilled. She's awesome. I'm so excited because, you know, in theory, yes, I was like getting her for the kids, but I wanted that companion again. And I always loved having pets. I always loved having dogs and I think they're awesome. And then I was like, oh, I got this. I can do this, whatever. And I kind of went back to what I had always thought or done with my previous dogs. Although I had never had a dog of my own as a adult out of the house. So I always had both my first dog. I was like, I don't know, a little kid, not little kid, but I was probably like middle school when I got her. And then the other one, it was like late high school or late college. So if I'm pretending if I said I did like any of the really hard work, my mom did that. But anyway, I was familiar enough with what to do.
And because then you had dogs, you kind of did everything in life on the earlier side.
Yes.
Like you went through college, adulthood, all that stuff, and then got married and had kids like pretty fast.
Right.
So there was no like alone time or gaps like in between the dogs, and that's what happens. It's so funny. We have clients that get a dog and their kid is like 14, and then if the dog passes away, the kid's like married, and we're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The time went by so fast.
Right.
So you really did everything like bing, bang, boom.
I did. 100%.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So I was married at like 26, had my first at 28, whatever. It all happened quickly. Anyway, so we get Winnie, and I think I know what I'm doing.
Okay, hang on. Can I back you up a little bit?
Back me up.
So what was the decision making like between going from having Wheaten Terriers, which I feel like is kind of a niche dog own, like if you're like a Wheaten person, you're a Wheaten person.
Correct.
And kind of like, the breed. And I mean, you could say that for any breed of dogs, but for some reason with Wheaten Terriers, I feel like there might be even a little bit more of that. So what made you decide to not go with a Wheaten Terrier and to go with a Lagotto? Because I have some strong feelings about Lagottas and their like newfangled fashion.
I agree. I'm like, what happened? They're all of a sudden like cool on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be honest with you. I probably didn't do as much research as I should have. My sister is a big dog person and has been like obsessed with dogs and reads about different breeds and all these things since she was like a little kid. And so we were living in Boston, and there had been 2 Lagottos on our block. And I remember seeing them multiple times when I would be out walking Bailey, and thinking like, what a cute dog, whatever, these dogs seem so great. I actually, now that I own one, I cannot believe that this person had 2 of them in the city. But they did. So I just remember thinking like, what a cute breed, like blah, blah, blah. And my son and husband are also very, very allergic to dogs.
Okay.
So there was also sort of that. And I knew that Wheatens would be a good option. I kind of was always like, oh, I'll just get another Wheaten. And then I think in my head, I was like, oh, I'll try something new. And my son can't even handle a doodle. Like those don't work for him. He's allergic to them. And so he had been around a Lagotto once or twice and had been fine. So that was another reason.
He had just been exposed in a house with a Lagotto and he didn't have a reaction.
He was no reaction.
Knew, like,
so I was like, all right,
this might be a safe choice.
That's another breed that might work. And my sister actually currently has a Wheaten, and ironically, he will sometimes, not always, react to her. So I was sort of like, oh, let me just try this. So I found a breeder, or my sister found the breeder, actually, and we contacted her. She was an absolute wacko, but
well, don't say who it was.
You're not going to say who it was. Don't worry, I'm not going to do that. But she was an absolute wacko. And whatever, we get Winnie. So that's kind of, honest to God, that's sort of how it happened. It wasn't like I did a ton of amazing research and all this stuff. I basically read about the temperament of the dogs and was like, okay, it sounds like it'll work for us.
Cool.
By no means did anything I read say like, by the way, this will be the most difficult dog to train on the planet, which is what I feel like I got, but that's okay. But here we are.
Okay. So from the time that you get Winnie, when did you meet Lori and how did you decide to pick us for training out of all the trainers?
Pretty quickly. No, actually, so when I had basically put the deposit down on Winnie, I started being like, I'm going to need to like have this dog trained or my husband's going to get rid of me. So true story. I was like, it's going to be a problem. So anyway, I was like, I'm going to get this dog trained, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be great. I'm going to hire somebody to help me. I can do this. We can do this. And so I started asking around town, and multiple people had actually said like, oh, well, there's this amazing dog trainer named Lori. But like, you gotta really like, you'll be lucky if you can get in with her. And I was like, oh my God, who is this woman?
You were so underwhelmed.
Who
when
is
you
this
met me. You're
mythical
like,
creature?
This bitch? Everyone's trying to get to talk to her.
And everyone's like,
personality of a paperweight.
yeah, basically everyone was like, but if you can get in with her, don't mess up because she'll get rid of you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, who is this mythical creature and how do I get Lori to take me? So I think I got her number from, I don't remember who. And I texted Lori and she sweetly was like, yeah, well, let's talk. And then I think I texted her a couple more times.
Did you hear that, everyone?
She was very sweet.
Sweet as pie.
Yeah. And then she came, or like, I don't know. I think I started texting her being like already having a panic attack one night because I was like, this dog, I don't know what's happening. And she, I think, could sense the panic in my text and called me and we set up a time to meet. She came to the house. Love Lori. She was like straight business that day. And I was like, oh, she's serious. Like this lady, not joking around.
You had the added pressure of you were supposed to get a dog that was a stuffed animal so the husband wouldn't notice.
Yeah. And I definitely
It didn't work out well.
Now, when you did get Winnie, how old was she?
8 weeks.
Okay. So
Like she was
you're fresh
exactly
out of
8
the
weeks.
oven.
She
Okay.
was like, yeah,
Cute.
very cute. I remember.
She looked like a
Very.
little like teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
Very deceiving.
So deceiving, that little thing. Oh, anyway, so she arrived and immediately, I mean, she was really, really tough to house train. Like the bathroom situation was a lot from
Yes.
the jump, as you guys both recall.
And that's why really one of the main reasons we have you on the podcast is to be the parent that said, I was the one who had the worst experience bathroom training a dog.
Awful.
Right.
Like I expected it to take weeks.
Me too. I got to tell you,
I didn't expect it to take like a year,
it definitely did.
and it did. It took a year.
Definitely did.
And even still, sometimes I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
But it took a year. So yeah, Lori came to the rescue. We had multiple like times she'd come to the house or I would come here. We tried involving the kids once. That only happened once.
It's a little crazy.
Yeah, it was a little too much. Where do you want to go from there?
Well,
What else?
So I do want to hang out on the bathroom training thing
Yeah.
because because you did everything right. So we've talked on the podcast before about crate training your dog, about how to bring them outside to go to the bathroom, then bring them back into the crate if they're having trouble, peeing in the house, if you're on your way out to the door. I mean, we use the pen for Winnie.
Oh.
We board and trained Winnie, which something that we
Which I
don't
never do.
that we never do. But she was having such a hard time with bathroom training with you that Lori actually took her for 2 weeks, which I'm not kidding you. She very rarely does. Just so that we could bathroom train her, and she did really well here. But like the first couple of nights were not fun. And
I will say, sorry to interrupt.
No.
The first couple nights I was like, well, this is going really well. I don't know what she's talking about. Because, sometimes things are different in a trainer's house versus a regular parent's house. You got 3 kids, they're all running around. You can't keep your eyes on her the whole time. Whereas if we take a puppy out, we're staring at it, right? That's the whole purpose of a board and train, is that we can get the grunt work over with. Well, it was a honeymoon period for the first few days. I'm like, she's doing really well. I don't know what Katie's talking about. And then I was like, oh,
Here she
this
is.
yeah. It's always an option for Winnie to go to the bathroom in her crate.
Always.
Doesn't matter the size of the crate. Doesn't matter if there's
She
padding in
doesn't
there.
care.
No padding. Doesn't matter how many times you take her out. Like when I tell you I would pray and then celebrate when this dog went to the bathroom, like I couldn't even sleep at night thinking that if she didn't go to the bathroom, I'm like, I don't want to go to sleep. I don't want to wake up to anything. You could X her a million times. She would go. And it didn't necessarily mean she wouldn't poop again in her crate after you let her
I
out.
distinctly remember her going to the bathroom before bed, 9:30 at night, and then I was like, oh, thank God she just pooped. And we would literally be like, oh, thank God she went to the bathroom. And then wake up at night and she would have gone in her crate. And when I say crate, I mean, this dog is not a big dog. She weighs what, like 25 pounds, something like that. So when she was a puppy, she was just this teeny tiny little thing. And we had her in like a cat carrier.
Yeah.
Like it was so small.
Yeah.
And even up until recently, we had her in like a small, very kennel here, and now she's fine in a regular size crate.
That's
Knock
another
wood.
thing. Yeah, she transitioned over the exercise pen, so we had her in the smallest crate possible, and I just felt so bad because you were purchasing like crate after you have every
100%.
you
Yeah.
have every size very kennel possible.
She's still in one at my house.
We didn't have her in an exercise pen because she was most comfortable in the very kennel.
Mm-hmm.
It was really like, so we transitioned kennel to kennel, and then I was having a hard time having her go to the bathroom on leash even. I'm like, let's dummy proof this for you so that when you take her out, you slap her in the X pen, she goes to the bathroom. It's easy for the kids to follow through. They don't have to walk around.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to use their brain. You put her in, you lock it, she goes.
Because if you walked her around the yard, she would do everything but go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like she was so distracted.
Right. And she would eat and
It was
chew the
painful.
grass.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we're going to put her on the cement and we're going to put her in the X pen. She's going to be X pen trained. And I'm like, this may lead to a problem with Winnie. Not any other dog. Normally I can X pen train them. The most difficult dogs who go to the bathroom in their crate will transition to a crate and it won't be an issue. Like the dog won't go in there as it kind of looks similar.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, we'll see how this goes. So, needless to say, Katie just carries an exercise pen around
do.
with her wherever she goes.
Basically, she travels
I
with an
basically
X
do.
pen to get Winnie to
There's-
go
I
to the
do.
bathroom.
There's one at your house,
Yep. There's one
There's-
at my parents' house.
one at your parents' house in the Cape,
Mhm.
and it still works to this day.
She's such an idiot that she'll walk outside and we'll be just playing in the backyard like
Yeah.
a normal dog would probably just,
Just
go.
go.
Nope. Winnie walks herself over to the X pen, brings herself inside, and
And
then
it goes.
goes.
She's
And I'm like,
so
you got to be
cute.
kidding me.
Well, she's trained.
She's so cute though because she'll be
It's so
playing. She's
cute.
like, oh my god, I have to leave,
Yeah.
and she leaves the whole group of
Yeah.
dogs.
She'll be like, excuse me, people. I got to excuse myself. Yep.
Runs into the pen and then boom comes back.
Yeah.
Well, now she'll go to the bathroom like wherever in the yard.
In your yard, she will.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
not in mine.
Yeah.
Well,
And
we have
not-
a rock yard.
True.
Buddha, come here.
Buddha, what are you doing?
He's going through
But
all the bags over
Not in and even in my parents' house in Nantucket, like she'll be running around the backyard with my sister's dog. Millie will go wherever like a normal dog. But like all of a sudden even my kids will be like, Mom, where's Winnie? And I'm like, I look out to the shell driveway, she's in her pen.
Yep. Yeah, but
And my
that's
dad's always like, what's wrong with this thing? Why does she do it?
Dad, what's wrong? We don't know. We're still trying to
It's
figure
like,
out.
what is she doing? I'm like, I don't know. Don't worry about it.
there. Yeah, and that's not something that we do with every dog
No.
by any stretch. But for us in this particular case, it's kind of like, wow, we really need to just do whatever
Yeah.
is going to work in this situation
because
because it's really challenging. We call them messy dogs when a dog messes in their crate because for most dogs, it's like an instinctual thing. Like they don't want to mess inside their crate. That's why we always say, you know, when you have a puppy, don't put them in like an extra large crate because they'll poop in one corner and then just go lay down and relax on the other side of the crate. But with Winnie, she would poop and then just fall asleep in it.
She didn't care.
Like
Did not care.
you know, and that's really challenging to overcome. So with the X Pen, you know, definitely not like a general recommendation. It's just what worked in this specific
Yes.
case, and it is continuing to work.
Yep.
Because I noticed when we hiked together, she did pee in the woods.
Now
Like,
she'll go if she's like out on a walk. Like, well, I walk her all the time, and that's not a problem. But I vividly remember the first time she actually did it. I think I took a picture of her and I sent it to Lori, and I was like,
sent it to me.
she peed like a normal dog on a walk. Like, and I mean, she might have been like 8 months old at that point. I mean, it was not quick.
Because she always went to the bathroom in the yard before you walked her, right?
She went in the pen. Yeah,
Yeah.
always. Yeah. So anyway, but now she will do it. Yeah, she'll do it like on a walk. She'll do it on a hike. She'll do it, you know, like I call it a normal dog, but just not in the yard.
right. And I
Which,
think
fine,
that's
whatever.
a huge lesson in perseverance
Yeah.
from you because if you think about getting a dog at 2 months old, from 2 months to 8 months, that's 6 months of diligence that you have to have. And also you probably cleaned up a lot of poop and
Oh
pee
my God,
in
so
that
much.
time, in that
So
amount
much,
of time,
so
you know?
much.
So like, and I hate to say this, but that is a reason why people do not keep a dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a very practical, like sanitary, like a lot of people would have pulled their hair out. And I know you were pulling your hair
I
out,
was pulling
but
my hair out.
You were.
I was. Thank God I had you guys, honestly. I
but to
probably
see
would have rehomed
success,
her.
it's like really cool. And to see you stick with it is really cool because now at 15 months, like when he's not a set it and forget it dog, I don't know if she'll ever be a dog you could just like let loose in the house. Because we can talk about her chewing too if you wanted to.
Sure.
It did.
For the record, I do love her dearly. She's awesome, and I'm so glad I kept her.
She is an awesome dog, and she's
so glad I didn't.
She's easy to train. Like she learns behaviors.
Yes,
quickly.
yes. I was like, "What do you mean, Leah?"
Yeah, I just because it panned out in the end. And remember when you were always doing. I would say, "Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Did you do that?" Absolutely, Laurie. I did everything. Yes, and she still did it. She still made the mistake. Yes. She still did this. And one day I have the door open from a very large basement into a dog yard, and this is shortly after you texted me, like, Laurie, I absolutely did everything. I had my eyes on her. I was staring at her. She's in a 5-foot distance of me. She just dropped and peed. The dogs can go in and out as they please. Yeah. I'd walked in to fill the water bowl. I look over and Winnie jumps on top of the cot that I have a towel on and I have the dishes on, and she just squats and pees.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, literally.
I said no.
Yeah.
And I kenneled her, but I was like, why are we still doing this, kid?
Yeah.
So the one thing about Winnie is that she'll always just do that one thing that you question your existence.
Yes.
And you really did follow through. And after a while, it's like if the dog's having accidents in your crate, you are just going to clean it and then go on. Mm-hmm. And with time, it does get better. But
yes.
You will be cleaning up accidents until they finally get it. So, yep. So she goes on walks now. Like I said, exercise pen worked. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Holler if you need any of that advice. And then go on with the other stuff. Because then Leah took over.
Yes. I'm trying to think about difficult things about Winnie. And firstly is the bathroom training. Secondly is, so with Lagottas, they are actually like a working dog. Mm-hmm. And they look like a doodle, but they don't act like doodles.
Nope.
And you can, of course, get like a pet breeder versus like a working dog breeder. But the bottom line is they're truffle hunting dogs. Mm-hmm. And so they're bred to hunt mushrooms, and mushrooms grow in poop. Mm-hmm. And Winnie is a dog that, I can remember a few times here where we have given emergency baths to Winnie.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because she rolls and stuff.
And she has beautiful, curly, kinky hair.
She does. She's got quite the locks.
So that's a tough thing to get over as an owner because like
it's disgusting.
Yeah, for me, I'm a dog person, so I'm like, oh, dog's eating shit. Stop it, So I don't get grossed out by it.
Yeah,
per se.
I do.
But for somebody that's like normal,
I do.
And you don't want your dog to be getting disgusting all the time. It's a tough behavioral trait to just kind of like accept, right? Yeah. Because she loves the ground, the grass, anything that stinks. Like it would be a great tracking dog. She just loves to use. I mean, all dogs love to use their nose, but her in particular, it's like, oh my gosh, like she's on another level when her nose is down. It's like she is like goes into total work mode. And again, all dogs like to use their nose. Like I'm not saying that she's super special in that way, but I do think that there's a genetic component to that when you get a little fluffy teddy bear dog, like you're probably not expecting.
No. And I never had like my Wheatons didn't do that. I mean, yes, they like to sniff and they like to stick their noses and things, but they not like this. Yeah. Not at all like this.
Well, then she started eating, like eating other dogs'
poop. Go ahead and say it. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so
that was something I had never witnessed before, by the way. I mean, I had seen like a friend of mine growing up had a lab that did it, but like that's the only dog I had ever seen do that. So then when Rick. I was like, I have a dog that eats poop. Which story about Rick?
Only the good ones.
He's the one that noticed.
Oh, yeah, he lost it.
Just tell the whole story though. You said he's looking out the kitchen window.
Oh,
and
when he was like, he's eating her.
She's doing it.
Yeah, she's doing it.
She's doing it.
She's eating her shit. Screaming out the kitchen window, and he's tapping on the glass at the dog, and yelling at me. And I was like, I know.
Yeah, but I thought you said you're like, Oh,
don't remember
I guess
anymore.
she has been going to the bathroom. It's like,
Yes,
because the pen
that's
was
right.
empty.
Yes,
You're like, why isn't
because
she going?
yes. Oh my God,
She
Lori,
was
I forgot
going.
about that. Well, there's been so many incidents where Rick's lost his mind with the dog. But anyway, so yes, so we can see where her X pen is from our kitchen window, which was perfectly. We would place it there. We place it there so that I could be like, she peed, check. She pooped, check. All right, great. Let's bring her in. And we kept being like, why isn't this dog pooping? Blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, we figured it out.
Yeah.
No, she was pooping, and she was consuming it before we could notice.
She's like,
yeah. Beautiful.
And then that is why and Rick figured out the mystery, and he was really, really excited about it.
well, after all the times you cleaned her crate and cleaned her, she's like, you know what? I'll just help my mom out.
Yeah, she's
I'll
like,
just clean this up right here. I don't
Although
know.
she's never eaten it in her crate, which is also interesting.
right. She's
Maybe
Explain
she
that one
likes
to
it,
me.
you know,
It's not a delicacy when it's in the crate. I
it's like a
guess.
track. You got to let it age, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God! Like in the dog yard, it's
Exactly.
like a buffet. She's like, "Oh, this is a golden retriever sample."
Exactly. What you ate last night?
Yes. She's like, "Can I try the beagle one?" Oh, it was lovely. And then she'll look at me before she does it.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I was-
yeah.
and
Oh,
I'm
she
like-
does.
Taunting you.
But
She
I call
even
her
does it.
Susan.
I was gonna say, are we sharing her real name?
Drunk Sue.
Drunk
yeah,
Sue.
that's her
Aunt
nickname is
Aunt
Drunk Sue.
Mhm. Her nickname.
But I see her snack and I go, Susan! And she looks at me. I go, cut the shit! And she walks away.
Yeah.
She's like, just checking, Lori.
Yeah. She's like, I'm just keeping you on your toes.
And Winnie's also the type of dog where if you have her loose in your house and you got your eyes off of her for a few
you're
minutes,
screwed.
she eats the molding
Of the house.
in your beautiful home.
In my parents' home.
Yeah.
Not my home. My parents' home.
She really likes
That was
the
great.
crown molding.
She-
I guess.
She goes for the really classy, nice molding, which is great. She doesn't do it in my house.
Nice
she does it in my
textured
parents'
molding, yeah.
Beautiful.
This is beautiful.
Newer
Was
home.
this just done?
Exactly. And then she'll eat the windowsill because she's like, oh, let me just get onto this one next. Yeah.
Yeah, she's busy. She is a really, really busy dog.
Yeah, she did that at my parents' house. That was good.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye on her too, as far as like just anything wood is in trouble
Yeah.
with Winnie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all of these things kind of stacked on top of each other, it does make it difficult. Again, we talk to dog people on the podcast, dog trainers, and if they are dealing with like difficult behaviors like this, it's kind of like, yeah, okay. But when you're just like a normal person that
Yeah.
got a pet dog, to get a dog of that like caliber of these are all the difficult things that you have to deal with, I think it definitely makes it more challenging.
I was
So
like,
it's
I am
nice
not
to have
equipped.
your voice here.
I am not equipped.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
God
you
I had
are
you guys.
now.
I am now.
Yeah.
I am now. And I also think that it was tricky to have a tricky dog, puppy, whatever, on top of, and like, yes, obviously I knew I had 3 children when I got the dog, but I didn't anticipate having a dog that I was going to actually need to watch like at all times. Yeah. Like a hawk. And because in reality, that I actually can't do that, you know? And as much as I would try, and I would have her right there with me on the leash, like blah, 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 but she would literally be attached to me on the leash in the kitchen. And I would have just taken her outside. And like we all said, like she's so unpredictable. She would literally just drop and squat. And I'd be like, dude, really? We just did this outside. Like, what's going on?
And within a short period of time as
100%.
well. It wasn't like
It was just so unpredictable.
you couldn't even do a 20-minute window.
No, it was just wildly unpredictable.
Wildly unpredictable.
Wildly unpredictable. So, you know, and that was that was my frustration. Is I just kept saying, you know, Leah and Lori, you both used to be like, well, you're doing this, you're doing that, and you're doing this. And I'd be like, I am. Like on my text, I'd be like, I'm doing it. I'm doing all of the things. But, you know.
Yeah, you did. And even when I came to your house, it's like crates right by the door, leashes on the crate, got Lex pen outside.
All the things.
There's no rugs. I'm like, yeah, she's doing
Doing all the
everything right. But
things.
it's kind of like that graph of progress that
Yeah.
isn't a straight line. It
Yes.
goes up and down and up and down. But
Yes.
if you can gradually make accidents happen less frequently,
Yes.
you kind of have to look at like, okay, well, today sucked, but how did the whole month look as
Right.
far as like accidents go?
Mhm.
And that's not ideal. I mean, I remember Buddha having an accident in the house like once, and we got him at 7 weeks old. He had other fine qualities that made him very difficult,
Yeah.
but
Not bathroom training.
yeah, not bad. Like Laurie did everything she does with every single dog, every single puppy that comes through. That dog didn't have accidents in the house, didn't have accidents in his crate unless he was sick. And, you know, Raven, she was a little bit more difficult. Ruben has never had an accident in the house, has never had an accident in the crate. And we got him at like 13 weeks old-ish. So it's like, you know, you can do everything right. Sometimes it works out perfect. Sometimes it works out okay. And in your case, it was like, wow, this is going to be like really challenging.
Yeah, I was like, this is going to be a long road. I knew we'd get there.
And all you have to know is like, it's not normal. So if and when you do get another dog, I hope
it'd be a piece of cake.
Yeah, it really will be. You'll be like, oh my God, this is so easy.
Yeah, whenever I talk about this, everyone's home like, you know what would be great?
If you got another dog.
We got another dog to play with Winnie. And Rick is like, and that's what you're going to do with your next husband. And I'm like, right. Noted. Yeah.
I don't know if you can hit the Winnie lottery twice.
I mean,
let us hope
know.
not.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah. No, but I will say and not to like, you know, pat myself on the back, but I will say I think one huge thing is I was like, I'm just going to continue to do exactly what Lori and Leah told me to do. So like I was very consistent from beginning to now. So I think that was huge.
Yes.
I mean, like I said, it wasn't
for sure
magic. And obviously it took way longer than I ever thought it would or wanted it to. But, you know, here we are.
You probably stuck with it longer than I would.
I was losing my mind.
I was pretty shocked. I was like, I don't see her keeping this dog.
You 1,000% thought I was going to rehome her.
Yeah.
I think a couple times.
I mean, because Rick, he was the X factor here. Like, he was going to kill the dog.
Yeah. Or like he was going to put me out on the street with the dog.
And there was so much effort, but it was
so much.
And the progress was so slow. And I get it. Yeah. Slow progress is still progress. I had to tell myself with a class I just had tonight. But it was slow. And a normal person just can't take this.
No. Yeah. And I was like, I have three kids. Like, what am I doing here? But
like, you pull up one day, Winnie went to the bathroom in her crate. There's shit
Oh
everywhere.
my God,
There's shit on her.
That.
Yeah, in the car.
Remember that in the car?
I throw her in the tub.
Yeah,
I clean the crate. We clean the
Kate's
car.
a trooper, so she looked in the back of my car one day. She's like, "Are those crates?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I had the two Rufflin kennels at the time in the Honda Element, and she's like, "Huh, those are pretty cool." By the end of the day, she opens up the back of her car. She's got a very kennel like in the exact position that I had. She put it in there. I'm like, "Wow." She's like, "Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. If you do this, that's what
exactly.
I'm going to do too."
I was literally like, if you could tell me to stand on my head and like do some crazy dance, and I will do it at this point.
So you had her in the crate, and from the time that you brought her from the house to us, she had gone to the bathroom. We had to give the bath, clean. Laurie was out cleaning the
which is
car.
Maybe an 8-minute drive, like at best.
I know, and I just felt so bad that here I am scrubbing it. I'm picking shit out of your car.
Literally. Thank God I had plastic mats. Those durable mats. But still,
I know,
that was disgusting. I forgot about that. That was a bad day. That was a bad day.
It was a bad day.
That was a bad day.
And she was just walking in the door. I'm like, Winnie, Susan.
Yeah, literally.
Why?
That was terrible.
So, moving on from the poor pee and poop
We're
accidents
traumatized.
Yeah. It was really something.
I've like actually forgotten a lot of this stuff, like some of these stories. So thanks for reminding me, Lori.
They say that about
the
motherhood.
Italian
Like,
it's like I blacked out for 6 months or something. I don't know.
We're here to remind
here we are.
But about 6 months ago, let's see, what are we in right now? Before the summertime hit, we had a conversation through the gate, and you were like, I am going to be in Nantucket all summer, and I really want Winnie to be able to run around on the beach. And at that point, you couldn't even crack your front door open without worrying that she would run away.
And never come back.
Come back. Yeah.
Or that I'd be chasing her all over Winchester and trying to find her. Yeah. And she would just be like, fuck you, keep running away.
Rick accidentally opens the door.
Exactly.
Bye, Winnie.
Yeah, right?
She runs into the X-Pen to go to the bathroom and comes back in. Son of a bitch.
Totally.
So I said, okay, there's a couple things. I was like, we can electric collar train Winnie. I said, the only reason that I'm going to do this with you at this age, because Winnie wasn't yet a year, is because you followed through with everything else that we've been doing. Like, I know that if I work with you, you're going to do what I say.
Yes.
And if you have problems, you're going to let me know. And I was also available at the time to spend time with Winnie in the afternoons, which was like super helpful. So, yeah, we went from a dog where you couldn't crack the door open, this dog would run away, to you can go on hikes with Winnie and she can be off leash on the beach in Nantucket.
Yes.
On the electric collar. And after our last hike together, after seeing what Winnie was like with you and how you were handling her and the equipment and your understanding of like the commands and how to follow through, and also Winnie's level of excitement, you know, to just like be with you and also come when called and just having a really good time, like being free and off the leash. I was like, I definitely like love the way that this went for you, because honestly, in relation to some of the other clients that I've worked with, I actually did not work with her very much, nor did I work with you very much. So to like have that last lesson and see such a really, really good result, I was like absolutely thrilled, because I know that she was a dog that, you know, you weren't even sure that you wanted to keep, to now she's a dog where like you can have her off leash at the beach.
Yes.
So can you just speak a little bit to that and like that side of the training?
Yes. So I initially was panicked over taking her to Nantucket because we have this really unique scenario there where it's actually my family's property, but we own like essentially two properties, and there's just this enormous yard in between the two. It's like a football field, and it's awesome. And I in my visions of my dog on Nantucket with me and my kids was like her just running around in the backyard with my kids, my nieces and nephews, my sister's dog, you know, whatever, being free, and then being able to take it, like you said, down to the beach, you know, throw a ball with her, walk her, like just have family beach days with the dog. And
The Hallmark picture.
the Hallmark photo, and not eating the windowsills, but that's okay. But I at the like Leah said, I couldn't even get her to go back if she accidentally got out of the house. Like I was like, there is no way, and I can't be just like keeping her on a leash, walking her around this yard all the time with like my 17 nieces and nephews and my own children. She's gonna get let out. And she's going to run away, and I'm never going to see her again. She's going to chase a deer away. She's going to chase a bunny. She's going to do something. The kids are going to be outside excited, and she's going to run away, and I'm literally never going to see her again. And I was like, I actually can't take her if this is how it is. So I obviously came to you guys. You all knew this all along because I was constantly being like, what am I going to do? And then finally, you know, Leah was like, I think we can do this. And I was like, okay, I'll do anything you said. So I wasn't apprehensive in terms of like, oh God, should I not be e-collar training her? It's safe, like blah, blah. I was like, no, what's safe to me is her not running away. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, she's going to die. I'm going to lose her, whatever. So like, yes, let's do this. And you explained it to me, and I vividly remember our first meeting with it. I came here and you like even attached it to my hand. I felt it, and I was like, okay, like we can do this. And you were very systematic in how you taught me how to do it. And at first I was like overwhelmed, I remember, and I think I texted you a bunch of questions like when I brought her home and I was trying to do it in the yard and stuff like that. But you were fantastic and you made it simple in terms of like you kept it small directions. You were like, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I got this. When I went home, I kept working on it. And then, you know, the next step was I think we went on our first hike with her, but she was still on leash with it. And we practiced it there. And I had been practicing at home, and she was doing pretty well with it. And then I noticed actually even in the house. So I do notice that even in the house, like when she would sort of like go into another room and I couldn't see her anymore. And if I was like, Winnie, come, like she would actually finally come, as opposed to before where she would like hear me and be like, hee, bye, and like run off. And I think also part of that problem was she sort of started thinking that was a game, I think.
Sure.
And I didn't know how to break that habit with her because also the kids would sort of think it was fun to like chase her. And I was like, no, don't chase her. You know, we're reinforcing this negative behavior. So anyway, we went home. I kept working on it. And I just sort of noticing like, okay, she's starting to get this. And then we did a couple more, but it really didn't take long.
No. And I did a couple sessions with her. So.
And you did a couple sessions alone with her because she came and she was boarded here.
Yes.
For a little bit.
And so I was able to take her to the woods. And then also when she was hanging out with us, I brought her back to your house.
Yes.
Because I find that like the house is so important to work around. And granted, when you put the equipment on the dog, you have a line on the dog, you have, you know, the dog's hungry, you got your clicker, you got your food. It's like the whole scenario is set up and the dog's like, I know how to be successful right now. I know how to avoid the stimulation. I know how to, get the reward. And when your door cracks open and the dog sees an opportunity to leave, none of that training scenario is there, right?
No.
So it's bridging the gap between I'm training versus like I'm in my house and I'm going to act like a punk.
Yeah.
So I could see it. I could see the difference in Winnie just moving her out of the environment here or even the environment when I was in the woods with her to the environment at home. I remember I let her out of the crate and she ran down to the edge of the driveway. I had her on a line. She ran down to the edge of the driveway. She just looked back at me.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, like, okay, she definitely is more comfortable here. So we're going to work just around the house. Yeah. So we did recalls around the house, in and out of the house, in and out of the car. I played with her a bunch in the front yard. That was where I got a real taste of her personality too, because she found a rawhide in the front yard and I didn't know what she had. And I had never teached Winnie out. So like I didn't ask her to out. But normally, like, I can, like, push on the bottom, like, lip of the dog and, like, they'll release what's in their mouth. And so I did that, and she just bit down hard.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
Susan.
and she wasn't moving. She wasn't tugging on it.
No.
And she wasn't growling.
No.
And she didn't have huge eyes at me. This dog bit down so hard on that thing. I had her collar, and she just bit down so hard on it. And I was like, oh my God, like this dog has real intent with this toy. And again, like she wasn't like resource guarding it from me or anything like that, but it was so small that like I couldn't even really grab it. So I was like, all right. So I picked her up, put her under my arm, brought her back to the crate. As soon as she got into the crate, she dropped it. So I grabbed it. But I was just like, wow. I was like, this dog has a strong personality. Yes. And I was like, okay. So we worked more with like play and toys and stuff like that and, got her outing. And I've never had that happen with her again, but it was just such a find for her. And to just see her like little mouth just clamp down so hard. And I knew, I'm like, she doesn't know an out, but I'm going to have to use like an excessive amount of pressure to get this dog to like let this thing go. So I really hope she just drops it. And she did once we got back to the car. And I think picking her up also helped. She was kind of like, okay. But anyway, we worked around her house and I made huge progress there because I went like a bunch of times. And before I brought her into the woods again, I said, okay, I want to be able to have her off of the flexi and on a long line. And I want to do a little neighborhood walk where she's just dragging the leash. And, she sees and looks and has opportunities to blow me off. But I wanted to kind of condition everything in a different environment because I know that there had been like a history there.
Oh, yeah.
So like that was really important to me. And she did really, really well. And then she's still, when you hike with her, she's on a short 6-foot leash, right? Yeah. And you had asked me too. You were like, can I have her off leash? And I absolutely, after our last hike, I was like, yeah, you could have this dog off leash all day. My one concern about just totally ditching the leash is like dog manners when she sees people or other dog distractions. I don't typically like to use a lot of pressure from like the tools in order to like move over to the side. Cause I was actually just talking to Lori about this the other day, but it's like all of my dog walking clients, when they see something in the woods, I just walk over the side and they'll just walk with me. Yeah. And it's just because we've done it like a million times and they just get used to it. So I don't have to like have the leash on. I don't have to say no. I don't have to say come. I don't do anything. I literally just like walk over to the side. And the way that I train that is I have them on the leash and we walk over to the side and we just do that like a million times. So for her, I think that would be like the next step is just getting used to not interacting with anything that's out in the environment and just staying with you, moving over to the side. You probably want to go ahead and teach like a formal heel command just so that you can ask her to do something formally if you want to move her over to the side. But that would be like my only thing with Winnie that I saw that I would, the reason why I would still keep the leash on her. Yeah. But she was very reliable and I think on a couple of occasions, like we had to reinforce using the e-collar and it was just funny because like, it was like Winnie come, blows you off, tap, dog just boom, like a shot out of a cannon, like comes right back to you. I'm like, wow, she's like excited about this.
Yeah.
And that's like a hallmark of like good training, understands the marker system, understands that she's going to get a reward, like understands the criteria, weren't using too much pressure.
No.
Like, you know, the numbers on that thing, like probably better than I do because you use the microeducator and I don't use that tool as much as I do, you know, the other tools.
I definitely know her specific numbers at this point. Like if she's got her nose down and she's going deep on something, I know that I can't do like she's digging with her nose. If she's doing that, then I'm not going to get her to come. If I hit her with like, for example, like a 13, which unless you've done this probably means nothing. But, and then I know like if she's sniffing at something, I don't even try the 13 because I'm like, she's not going to do anything. So I just give it a little tweak. Here she is. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's, I would say she's a tiny little bit equipment savvy. Like when she has the equipment on versus when she's not. Oh,
definitely. If I put that thing on, she knows I mean business. Whereas like if she doesn't have it on, she's like, I could probably get her to yell, come one more time. And she'll give me like, she won't come as quickly.
Right.
But she'll definitely test the boundaries a little more.
Yes. She is a testy dog.
Yes.
She's a testy
and
dog.
you cannot really get her to do something she doesn't want to do in that moment. It's tough sometimes.
Yes.
Like you said with the rawhide. She's like, yeah, no, I would like to keep this, so I don't care what you think for a minute. And then she realizes like, oh, actually, you're in charge. Fine. Yeah.
Her favorite thing is taking we have the ugliest stuffed animal here. It's a wolf with like the 6-pack of abs and his Buddhist toy. And if she gets that, the joy she feels in her heart, racing around and having every single dog chase her. That's her moment.
Totally.
That's
She's
her
like,
on top of the bar.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And everyone loves her. You know, it's like a dream. Winnie.
Yeah.
Winnie.
Exactly.
Yay. Yeah. Yep. I just watch her. I go, you go, girl.
Yeah. That's her like Coyote Ugly moment.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm on the bar, like just living my life.
She's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
she's smart. So I took her out today because I was doing some free shaping, getting this little lab puppy that we have to fetch a little dumbbell. And of course the lab puppy like just puts her mouth on it right away because she's a lab. And Winnie was like watching us. She was like up on the, on the fence, like looking at us. Yeah, I have a video. It's actually really funny. But so I was like, okay, Winnie, come on. So I got the clicker and food, and she has no idea what I want her to do.
No.
By the end of the session, she was putting her mouth on the thing.
Winnie was?
Yeah, like she learns so fast, that dog. Like, I mean, and because she understands the clicker, and she's like, what do I do to get that food?
Yeah.
And she really is a little worker, and it's cool to see because she's just this little floofy looking pet dog. But she has a will behind her, She does. And she loves food, so that's
loves
good.
Food.
Yeah, she does.
Loves food.
Yeah.
Loves a good snack. Bless her.
Loves a snack.
Bless her.
Yeah,
So do I.
We have fun.
We all do.
But you gotta watch her like a hawk. Like when we were in the woods, I was like, you gotta watch. Like when she's sniffing something and you see that shoulder start to turn down, like you have to call her right away or she's gonna roll.
That was one thing that I need to be better at. When we were on our most recent woods walk, sometimes I'm like, oh, she's just sniffing, and then then I'm like, oh no,
she's dipping.
Not. Yeah, she's dipping.
When you dip, we dip. You dip.
Exactly, and then she has diarrhea, and then there's that.
Yeah, that's the problem too. She, poor thing, has gotten sick a few times. Probably from eating things that she shouldn't.
100%
the acorns.
Things she shouldn't. Oh, she loves acorns.
Friggin' acorns. I have to leaf blow the yard on my busy days because they just sit out there and they snack. And you can't
Yeah, you got to keep it clean.
She
leaves this fall.
Acorns.
Sometimes you're like, it'll flush through the system. But I mean, too many.
No, it flushes just aggressively.
It's and we don't want that with Winnie.
No, we don't want
but
that.
She does learn other things. Bathroom training was not the thing that she excelled in.
No.
It was the other things she did so well at.
Yeah, so now in Nantucket, I love it because you send me pictures of her off leash at the beach with the kids and stuff. And
awesome.
I'm like, oh, this is what a dream come true.
It's awesome. I mean, she's definitely a little rude to other dogs and stuff sometimes, but we'll work on that next.
That's okay.
That's next.
It's hard at the beach. We talked about that in the last episode. It's like a free for all of crazy dogs.
It's like there's so much going on too.
She's living the dream.
She is living the dream.
She lives on Nantucket.
She genuinely thinks that every person and dog wants to greet her though, which is a problem. But it's fine. she's just like, hey, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Sue. How are you? This is my home.
Well, for the longest time, we didn't think she was a Lagotto. Do you remember that?
Oh my God. I
still
never,
don't think she is.
well, it's funny you say this because I bought one of those genetic like
You
DNA
did?
tests. I haven't done it yet, but I have one because you guys had me so convinced too that she's not, and I just still haven't done it. But I have it in
No,
my house.
as she's gotten older, I do think she is because her coat got that gray
it did
color
yes
to
yes.
it.
She's
It was
just the tiniest Lagotto
She's
I've
so
ever seen.
tiny.
yeah,
She's just a little girl.
yeah.
She's lying.
Yeah, with her eye, I can see it in her eyes. Like Lagottas have very distinct eyes and like foreheads to me.
Yeah.
The coloring tripped me up because she's so brown.
so
but as
brown.
she's getting older, she's getting more gray in her
Yes.
coat.
Yeah.
So that I'm like, all right, I
Like
can
on her
see it
back.
now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I know people are like, my kids kept being like, why does she look old? And it's like,
Oh, because her hair is going gray.
Yeah.
I ask myself that every day, kid.
I know, right?
Every day.
I'm like, oh, it's a little different.
Yeah, but I also think that like for those of you that are maybe looking to go against the grain and not get a doodle, sometimes just go with the doodle. Like in Kate's case, of course, like, you know, you wouldn't do that because your son's allergic, right?
No, I couldn't.
So
yeah.
like you have to go with like a poodle or
Yes.
a dog that has less dander. But you know, don't try to be different than the Joneses. If you really want like an easygoing dog, just like a good old boy.
Don't get a Lagotto.
Yeah, Lagotto probably.
I love her
Probably
to
not
death.
the dog for you.
She's awesome, but yeah, no.
I mean, there's Portuguese water dogs. There are
Definitely.
true 100% poodles. I don't recommend a mini poodle for a family because they're very testy, very snobby.
Yeah.
They tend not to.
I just never had a good experience with the poodles. I was like, I just can't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
they're headstrong dogs too.
Yeah, I just hadn't had one, and I was
Headstrong. Come on.
Like, I know. Well, I know. I was gonna say, well, didn't I kind of get that? But
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, slight touch of it.
Yeah. But I will say, she's the sweetest little thing.
Yeah, she is very cuddly. Loves to be
So
petted.
cuddly.
Yeah, just a nice, not aggressive at all.
No.
Towards people, towards
No.
other dogs. Like she gets along
At
great
all.
with, which is like, you know, that's the best thing.
Totally.
Just to put like a cherry on top, it's like, okay, you can deal with all the other stuff because like this dog is a good dog in terms of like sociable,
Temperament.
likes
Yes.
people, like, you know, that's the most important
She's a
thing.
nice dog.
Yep, that's
Yes.
the most important
She's
thing.
a
The other
very nice
stuff,
dog.
like, we can deal with that.
She's difficult, but a very nice dog. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we've learned to love her. Except for Rick.
He'll come along.
He'll
Rick's
come around
still-
maybe when she's like 5'6".
Yeah, maybe. People kept being like, just you wait. He's going to be cuddling on the couch with her within a month. And I was like, oh, you haven't met my Rick. And you also haven't met Winnie.
Never met Winnie. Yeah.
Maybe if she was a different dog, but not Winnie. Yeah.
Yeah, if she was a sofa dog, maybe. But
Yeah, maybe.
she's busy. But she does have a nice temperament. She's friendly.
does,
She's
yes.
funny.
Yes.
Like I said, her running around the yard. I'm like,
She's
"You
funny."
Go, girl. You live your life.
Yeah.
And she's
just,
I'm glad that she can be free.
yes.
She can
That
be
was
at
a
the Cape with you.
huge win. And like, I think a real moment where like, you know, this is Christmas time almost. So I'm going to say like, you know, in The Grinch, when the heart grows 3 sizes, it was like the day that I could like actually trust her to do those things. I think my love for Winnie grew like 10 sizes. I was like, oh my God, we've made it.
Well, and it wasn't, that part wasn't difficult for you. You're like,
No.
no, I put in this time.
Yeah.
I didn't sweat blood and tears this.
Yeah.
And she totally got it. It was
Yeah.
like your prize for the bathroom training.
Seriously.
Yeah, she got on real quick. I was
She did.
super happy because she's not nervous. So that like really helps with the off leash stuff because lately, when I say lately, I mean the past like couple of years, I've done a lot of off leash obedience with dogs. And at the end of the day, I've just kind of been like to the owner, like, listen, like you're still going to have a line on this dog for I don't know how long, but like dog needs a line because I can e-collar train this dog till the cows come home. But if something freaks them out in the environment, like they need a leash on them. And there have been more and more dogs that I've come across that have been like that, where it's like, you can do all the training, but at the end of the day, it's like, is this dog comfortable enough in their own skin to be off leash? Are they confident? And Winnie does not have that problem.
No.
Like it would take quite a bit.
Yeah.
For her to, get really nervous. And so that was really nice to see too, just to see her like I said, just when she comes to you, just like she got shot out of a cannon and like she sees stuff in the environment. She's like, yeah, cool, whatever. And that was really cool too, because it wasn't like you were dealing with all this stuff. And then on top of it, like we put all the work in, but you really weren't able to see the results. You were able to see those results, which was like amazing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
cool.
She's awesome.
Well, I think that's a
you
good
guys
spot
are
to
awesome
to
by
end
the
it.
way.
Oh, thank you.
Don't be crazy.
I was like, they're gonna fire me because I can't get this dog to be outside.
No.
Because I knew you were trying.
If you didn't
she's
do
literally
anything,
doing
then
everything.
probably Laura would be
Well,
like,
that would be
yeah.
the other thing I would say to anybody listening is like, you have a difficult dog. Don't try to like improvise and come up with your own rules. Like, just don't do that at all, because eventually it will work. You just have to be consistent, stick with it, and listen to the people who actually know what they're talking about, like you guys.
No, thank you.
Even if you feel like everything you're telling me, I was like, it's not working.
I know. I'm
Poor Katie.
I remember all those days. Like
Yeah.
I felt like we were married.
Seriously.
I was talking you off a cliff every day.
Oh,
I was like, it's
easily
gonna
twice
be
a week.
okay. It's gonna be. And then I turned to Leah. I was like, she's really hanging in there. She's really trying.
I think I cried in the yard at least once, just once maybe.
Yeah.
Only
It's
once.
okay. You would not be the first person, and you would not be the last.
And I was like,
Sometimes I cry too.
Yeah, I was literally like, I can't believe I just cried, but I couldn't tell Rick either because I was like, he's gonna be like, I told you, but I was like, I can't believe I just cried at the dog trainer's house.
Well,
It's
you
so
can't crumble
embarrassing.
in front of the enemy.
Oh no.
You can't show him.
No. For the record, he
Show
does
weakness.
kind of like her. I think he loves her for me and the kids. But would be just fine if she didn't come home tomorrow.
Oh boy,
You know.
you did not just say that.
No, he would be like, I'm sad for you.
Yeah, you love her.
I love her.
Yeah,
But
and
she's still a young dog. I think that's an important issue.
She's only 15 months.
Yeah,
she's a puppy.
That is, yes.
She's still
and
very
especially
puppy.
when you're dealing with a dog that like is taking a while to mature, and we're gonna put her in that category because it took her forever to just pee and poop outside.
Definitely.
So it's like, all right, maybe when she's 3, I think that you could say,
I'm
okay,
going with more like 5, but
we're gonna hope for the best.
yeah,
for her.
each year is going to get a little easier. I'm telling myself that. We'll see.
every time he sees me, the few times that he picks up, he's like, so when is she going to stop chewing the molding? And I was like, well, Rick, I said, you have to watch her, buddy. So why don't you just put her in the crate?
Exactly.
Wait for Kate to get home.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, you know what doesn't happen when I'm home? That.
I said, it's so easy.
So
You just have to put
in the
her
crate.
away.
But you know what's funny? He doesn't like to put her in the crate because for whatever reason, she doesn't cry if she's in the crate if I'm home. She cries if she's in the crate if he's home.
Because he lets her out.
Exactly. But so, yeah. So he's like, well, I can't listen to her cry. I'm like, but I thought you didn't like her. I'm confused. Which one is it? But, I think he can't listen to her cry. He feels bad for her.
See, he doesn't have a cold heart as we thought.
He doesn't. He just tells people like on the beach when we're standing there with the dog. And I vividly remember one time this summer, I was like, hey, can you hold her leash for a second? We were like packing up or something. And somebody that he knew walked down the beach and they're like, oh, hey, Rick, blah, 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 whatever. And they're like, oh, is this your dog? And he goes, no, it's Kate's dog. And I was like, did you really just say that?
Oh my God.
But, he says it with a smile. So he's coming around.
It's okay.
The better she
you're there
gets.
for her,
Exactly.
You're there for her. She'll be 5. They'll be cuddling on the
Yeah,
sofa. I can
exactly.
see it
Right.
now.
When that happens, I'm framing the picture and I'm dropping it off at this
Please
house.
do. I know
Okay.
he'll break. He'll break.
That's
I'm
how
like,
it
we
goes.
finally did it, guys.
All right, Kate, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming
This was
in. I know
fun.
that it's not easy to like sit with a microphone and talk
No,
to us, but I feel like
But I
that
miss
was
bedtime,
beautiful.
so.
All right.
All
There we
right.
go. You have
Mom's
a night
night
to
out.
yourself. I love it. I love it. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you enjoy what you are hearing, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends. And you'll hear from us next time.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.